Saudi Arabia. I met many scholars in Saudi Arabia, alhamdulillah, and I attended their classes, and that was a pleasure from Allah Azza wa Jal that He allowed me and enabled me to seek knowledge when I was at the early stage of my life. And since I came here to UK to continue my studies, my academic studies is in mathematics, and while I was here, that I was involved in da'wah since I was here, trying to help the people in the faith matters and to educate them about Islam, about the pure Islam, alhamdulillah. And it was successful, alhamdulillah, in the past 9 years, alhamdulillah, while I was in UK.
Thank you so much, Sheikh. May Allah bless you. May Allah make you a big contributor, inshallah, to the da'wah, and to help, inshallah, our viewers with any of their questions that they may have. And welcome to Ask Eman. Jazakallah khair. So, Sheikh, as we start every show, we're going to be going to one of our video questions, inshallah. And so, for our viewers, stay tuned for a few seconds, inshallah, to listen out for the question, and after it, we'll be getting the answer, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh. I have a question for you. Do I have to limit my dua for things for the hereafter? Or can I make dua for things of worldly gain? Jazakallah Khair.
From the video question, should he limit his dua for the hereafter only, so only ask for things for the akhirah in regards to Jannah and Allah to make the day of judgment easy for him, such things, or should he also include dua for worldly gains or worldly successes?
Yeah. MashaAllah, that's a good question, because many people thinking that religion is just only related to the hereafter. Actually, Islam is a way of life, and since it's a way of life, that it is involved in the person's, in the individual's lives on their daily basis. So that's why, since the person, he's a Muslim throughout the day, throughout his week, throughout his year, that means he is in need to Allah Azza wa Jal all his life. And that's why we'll find the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was alayhi salatu wasallam, he was a role model, an example to us to be followed, and he was making dua for the worldly matters and as well for the hereafter. And that's why we'll find many of the ad'iyah in the Quran or in the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was about the matters of akhirah and as well was about the matters of dunya. So that's why the dua is not restricted to be only for the things in the hereafter, but actually as well the dua as well it is the person, he is entitled to make dua for the things that is involved in his daily life, or things for example, things which is for his studies, for his work, for his marriage, for his children. All these things, those are life matters, and as well the person, he has to make dua to make Allah, to help that Allah to help him throughout his life. So of course the dua, and Allah Azza wa Jalla is mujib dua. So Allah, his names, Allah is the one who responds the dua. So that's why the dua, it is involved in the person's life. It is Allah to respond his dua in the person's life throughout his life. So these matters, the dua has to be as well for the hereafter, and as well has to be as well in this life. So it's not restricted for the hereafter. And there is a point as well that Allah Azza wa Jal said in the Quran, so he is mujib al-muttarra idha da'ah. So as well, the one who is in need, the one who is severely in need to Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah Azza wa Jal is the one who responds to his dua. And of course, this is Allah Azza wa Jal, the one we worship, the one we ask, the one we seek aid and help from him, tabarak wa ta'ala.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. With that, Sheikh, we have our first caller of the show, so we'll be going off to our call, inshallah. So assalamu alaikum to our sister, welcome to the show, and what's your question for us today?
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu wa rahmatullahi.
My question is regarding Hajj.
Okay.
I just wanted to find out, when is it compulsory for a woman to go to Hajj? Obviously in Islam, a woman's not meant to earn, but if her husband has enough wealth, is it compulsory for him to take her? Does it ever become Hajj on a woman, basically?
Okay then, sister. Thank you so much for your question today. Do you have any more for us?
No, that's the only one. Thank you.
Okay, Jazakallah Khair. May Allah reward you. Be sure to call us back if you have any more questions. The same goes for Jazakallah Khair, sister. Assalamu alaikum. Wa iyyak. We also have our next caller on the line, Brother Azhar, one of our regular callers from Manchester. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Azhar. Welcome back to the show. And what's your question for us today?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
My question today is to the Sheikh is, how Sheikh we can improve our family relations, like relations with parents, with children, brothers, sisters, and most importantly, the young husband and wife relationship. How can we strengthen those relationships and can forward for a successful, happy, and content life as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects from us? Okay, jazakumullah.
Thank you so much, Brother Azhar. May Allah reward you. For the rest of our brothers and sisters watching at home, we're going to be live until 8 o'clock, inshallah. As you've seen, we've had two of our callers give us their questions just now. So if you have any questions for us, this show, if it's your first time tuning in, is all about giving you the chance to have access to an individual of knowledge, to get your questions answered authentically according to the Quran and Sunnah. So that could be anything. It could be from the small things like making dhikr properly or praying your salah, whether it be the obligatory or the Sunnah properly. You'd like more clarification on this, or matters regarding any family situations, financial situations that you'd like advice on, or you'd like to ask on someone else's behalf. It could be your friend or a family member. So this show is here for you, inshallah, to take and make use of. You have our multiple options, many options that you can send your questions through. Number one is our phone. That will bring you straight into the studio, inshallah, to ask your questions. And the number for that is 0203 637 6857. You also have the WhatsApp, Facebook live stream. That's on our Facebook page, Eman Channel UK. You can go on there and find it at the top of our page. And also our email, which is ask@emanchannel.tv. These should be coming and going throughout the show up until 8 o'clock, inshallah, the bottom right side of your screen. So be sure to pick up any option that's easiest for you and get your question to us, inshallah. So Sheikh will be starting with our questions. Yes. The first one was from our sister regarding Hajj. She said, does it ever become compulsory for a woman to go on Hajj? She also added that if her husband has the means to take her, does he have to take her?
Yeah. Allah Khair, sister. This question is important actually, because many people, they don't understand when is the concept of Hajj, is when the person is obliged to do Hajj. Actually, according to the scholars of Islam and according to many of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that the person is obliged to go Hajj when he reached the age of puberty, when he or she reached the age of puberty. So as soon as the person becomes mukallaf, becomes someone who is he is entitled to follow the commandments of Allah Azza wa Jal, which means when he or she reached the age of puberty, then in that case all the obligations of Islam will become compulsory for him or her. So that's why the woman, she's entitled, she has to do Hajj as soon as she reached the age of puberty. There is no restriction on the age, because many people, we have a habit, as you know, from our cultural background, that the Hajj is only for the one who become like overaged, or someone who's like over 60s. That's what generally people they do it. But actually no, when the person reaches the age of puberty and he or she able to do Hajj, then let them do it as soon as they are able to do it, because when they get old it might be more difficult for them to do it. So let them do it while they are young, while they are healthy, to do it if they are able to do it. Now the second part of the question is the husband is obliged to fund her Hajj? No, actually the Hajj is obligation upon each individual, so each one he has to sponsor himself or herself. Now, but as well, it is a good habit from the husband. If his wife didn't go Hajj, it is from the good habits that the husband, he should take care of that, and he should help his wife towards fulfilling her pillars of Islam by going Hajj. So if he is able to do it, then it is better for him to do it, and he will have the same reward as her if she did Hajj, inshaAllah ta'ala.
Thank you so much, Sheikh. So to clarify, because I think this is something maybe I'm not used to hearing particularly. So Hajj is an obligation upon every individual.
Yes.
It's not like for example, the husband does have duty towards his wife and in regards to providing in certain areas, but Hajj isn't one of them.
No, it's not.
But it is good to do it.
It is good to do it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of reward, of course.
So he's not obliged to pay for it. So it is her duty to do it. I mean, so that's why she has to save some money for herself if her husband. So I mean, Islamically, he's not obliged to do it, but it is one of the thing that one of the biggest good deeds for the husband to do, to help his wife towards helping her in Hajj. And as well vice versa.
Okay.
As well, she's not as well obliged to fund his Hajj as well.
Yeah.
So it is each one, he has to think carefully about it, and he has to consider that, he has to save some money in order to do Hajj once in his lifetime. And if someone helps someone else, and especially between husband and wife, that it will help, getting the family stronger.
Yes.
And that's something which is great in Islam. And as well, if the husband funds his wife, as well, the relation is going to be much better. And as well, he will be rewarded from Allah Azza wa Jal, that he will have the same reward as someone who's doing Hajj exactly the same amount without Allah Azza wa Jal, without deducting any of her good deed while in Hajj. So it's something which is highly recommended in Islam to do it.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you. Thank you so much. Before we move on to our next question, we have our next caller. So we'll go off to our call, and then we'll move on with the questions. So assalamu alaikum, brother or sister, brother Abdul Rahman actually. Welcome to the show, and what's your question for us today? Assalamu alaikum, brother Abdul Rahman.
Hello, assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi.
I have one question.
Yes.
Welcome to the show. You can go ahead.
Thank you. I have a question. The injury claim, the car accident, is halal or haram?
Okay. Do you have any more questions for us today?
No, brother. This I have to.
Okay, then.
Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much, brother Abdul Rahman. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, Sheikh, I was going to ask you regarding the Hajj question. Just quickly, you mentioned that before an individual, Hajj becomes obligatory upon them once they reach the age of puberty.
Yeah.
So if they've been taken with their parents or family and they've performed Hajj before the age of puberty, does this mean that it's still obliged upon them to do it after the age of puberty?
Yes, that's the school of Islam. They said that they are, if they have done it before. They said there is two things which we need to understand. First of all, was the person when he has done it, was he sane? Was he someone who is, for example, above 5 or 6 or 7 years, which means the person he knows the wudu, he knows the salah, he applies the practice of Islam.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what the school of Islam they said. So if that person was sane and understanding, the concept of salah, he prays or she prays, like for example, after age of 5, 6, 7, or this age, which means the child become, he understands the duties of a Muslim.
Yes.
Then that some scholars they said then the Hajj will be withdrawn from him or her.
Okay.
But if it's below that, if it's below that age, which means the child didn't know, for example, know what's going on, then in that case, when that child reached the age of puberty, then he has to do it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much, Sheikh. Before we move on with our questions, we'll go off to Brother Abdul Wahid, who's on the line. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Abdul Wahid. Welcome to the show. And what's your question for us today?
Hello. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My question is regarding, as a Muslim, obviously our aim is to get Jannah. But obviously we have to live this world and work for it. So my question is, how do you know if you've done enough to please Allah and get Jannah at the end? So
Okay, then.
what are the characteristics of getting Jannah?
Okay, then. Thank you so much, Brother Abdul Wahid.
Okay,
Do you have any more questions for us today?
No, brother. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. May Allah reward you. Jazakallah khair. So we'll move on to our next question, Sheikh. Brother Azhar from Manchester asked, how can one improve their relationship with their family, for example, children, brothers, sisters, husband and wife, according to pleasing Allah?
Jazakallah khair. This is a very good question by the brother. We need to understand that the Prophet ﷺ, he said in Hadith Qudsi that my slave will be not close to me or doing something good better than fulfilling his obligations. Okay. So many people, they think the dua is the things, the dua and the other voluntary things makes us close to Allah. But actually, the most beloved action of ibadat, which means act of worship, the most beloved to Allah are those ones which Allah has made it obligations. For example, the salah, the zakah, the siyam, the hajj, those are the most beloved actions of worship which Allah loves. So this is the first thing. Okay. So that's why the person he has, if those individuals in a family, they fulfill their duties to Allah Azza wa Jal by fulfilling the duties of prayer, by fulfilling their duties of by fulfilling their duties of zakah or fulfilling their duties of siyam, on all these things, that then at least they have kind of protection from Allah Azza, first of all. Then the second point, which is the voluntary things, which is to do something extras. For example, the voluntary fasting, the voluntary charity, and all these voluntary deeds that as well they will add up to their good deeds. And those voluntary things, try as a family to share it. So he was asking how could strengthen the relation between the family. So make it as a habit of the family. For example, we have many examples of people who involved their families, their wife, for example, their children in the charity work. Yeah.
Yes.
So that makes the family, they have an aim as a whole, as a family, and that's something which is great.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, and that's makes all the family works towards a good aim and a great aim, which is something great. If the people they have applied that, and as well they have to learn about the importance of kinship. This is something which is important in Islam, because Allah Azza wa Jal will say to the kinship, the kinship which is the rahim, that it will be hanged in Allah's throne in the day of resurrection, and Allah will say to the kinship, to the rahim, ألا ترضين أن أصل من وصلك وأقطع من قطعك. So do you accept that I will connect you with the one who connects you, and I will disconnect the one who disconnects you? The one who disconnects his kinship, Allah Azza will disconnect with him. Allah will be free from him. And the other way around, the one who connects his kinship, even though the other side of for example, their father, their mothers, they are not treating them in the same manner. So you have to do your duties toward them and leave the remainder for Allah Azza wa Jal. So that will strengthen the family relation as well. They will become closer to Allah Azza wa Jal with the good deeds, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. I just wanted to ask you from that, because you mentioned to focus on what you need to do and to leave the rest to Allah.
Yes.
Would this help, if we take this attitude towards most of our worship and most of our life, would this be a good one where we just say, I'm going to do my best on my own, according to what's good for me and my life and for people, and leave the bad to them?
Yes, because here we have one Sahabi came to the Prophet ﷺ, and he said there is some relative of him that he tried to connect them, he tried to get close to them, and they tried to abandon him, they tried to boycott him. So he said, he said, keep doing that. So he encouraged him to do his best to continue what he's doing. He didn't tell him to stop it. Okay. So from that hadith we understand that we do our side. Yeah, the other side, you leave it for Allah and ask Allah and make dua to Allah that Allah change the situation. And Allah, with the time, Allah will change the situation. But you should do your side. And you shouldn't say, maybe, I haven't done, or for example, I have done this, I have tried all my best, though, that's it. That's wrong. This is from shaitan. The shaitan wants you to stay away from, for example, your parents, from your brothers. No, try your best to connect them. Try your best to be good to them. Because you don't know those ones that, for example, you think your brother, when you're gonna, your brother or your sister or your mother or your father, when you're gonna have the feeling that when you lose them, you will have the bad feeling that you lost them, and especially the parents. If someone lost his mother, that he lost one of the biggest gates in Jannah.
Subhanallah.
The mother. If someone lost his father, he's gonna lose again. He's gonna lose a way to Jannah. So that's why you need to know, as a Muslim, that those are my way to Jannah. Especially the parents. So whatever happens from them, I should ignore from the bad things that happens from them, and I should just concentrate. At least those ones, they looked after me when I was young. Just on this concept, let alone if they are Muslims or not Muslims, even. Yeah. So you should be good to them, and you should be treating them in a way which Allah is pleased with. That's the main thing. Yeah.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. And when it comes to this, sometimes maybe someone starts feeling a bit discouraged because they're facing maybe bad treatment or they're facing rejection, even though they're carrying on, and this affects them from being able to carry on. In this place here, is intention something very important? Why you're doing it?
There are two things. First of all, the intention in the first place, which, as you said, the intention, which is the intention for the sake of Allah alone, nothing else. Now, the second point as well. If he is discouraged, let him read about the pious people, how they have done, how they have dealt with their parents. SubhanAllah, you will find many of the scholars of Islam and many of the people who are pious people, you will find as well they struggled. I mean, the parents. Why Allah has made it like a way to Jannah? The Prophet ﷺ said, "Huffat al-Jannatu bil-makarih," which means that entering the Jannah it comes with the things with hardship. It's not easy to get to Jannah. So of course, dealing with parents is not something which is easy, to please them.
Okay.
It's not something easy. So that's why we have to do our best to please them and to be good to them. And even if they dealt with us in not in the same manner, or they dealt with us in a wrong way, we should carry on the good deeds. And we should remember that we are not doing it just only for their sake, we are doing it for the sake of Allah. In that case, you will, whatever happens, will be, inshallah ta'ala, will be fine with you.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much for that, Sheikh. I hope that's benefited our viewers at home. I've definitely benefited myself. We have around 5 minutes till the end of the first part of our show. After we'll be going on a break, Sheikh. But until then, I'll just like to remind our viewers that we're live. This is a live show. It's Ask Eman. If you've just tuned in, if you're a regular viewer, then you know the show very well. We're here to give you the chance and the platform to ask your questions regarding your lifestyle as a Muslim. It could be anything in regards to Islam, whether it's something in the Quran, something from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. It could be you wanting to know how to perform your acts of worship properly, because you might have doubt in some of the things, if you're doing them properly or not. You know your questions best. So we'll be here up until 8 o'clock, inshallah, to take your questions. And the number to reach us on is 0203 637 6857. That's 0203 637 6857. That's to reach us by phone. You also have our WhatsApp service where you can send your questions via WhatsApp to the number that's 074 2239 8833. That's 074 2239 8833. That and more options should be coming and going at the bottom right side of your screen up until 8 o'clock today to help you get in touch with us, inshallah, and ask your questions. So, Sheikh, we'll continue with our questions now. One of our brothers called and he asked regarding injury claim when having a car accident. He said, is this something permissible or not in Islam?
Yeah. Generally, the money from the insurance company, there is a big hesitate to take from the insurance company generally. But for example, if there is something which is someone who has injured severely and that affects his life, then in that case, the person is entitled to take his rights from the one who did it to him. He did the accident, the one who's blamed in the accident in the first place.
Okay.
But now here the law of this country, for example, and most of the countries, as far as I know, that there is insurance company who get involved. Those are the one who's going to cover for example, these expenses.
Yes.
Then in that case, the person he has to take what is his rights. Unless if they said to him, they will say to him, we'll give you this amount, for example, to compensate you. Then in that case, he's entitled to take what is sufficient, or what if he thinks that this is sufficient, that he's entitled or she's entitled to take that amount generally. If this is the condition, that's under the condition that because many people they lie. To get claim. For example, someone who was hit very, for example, someone hit him from the back, and then he will say or she will say, I have back injury, I have this, I have that, and they will start doing many things. And actually, that's act of lie. So the money, if you take it out to fly, then those are haram.
Yes.
But if it's true, you were injured, truly that you were injured, there is something that happens that affects your life. For example, that affect you can't work properly anymore and all these things, then you are entitled to take any compensation which they offer you, or if you ask something which you think is convenient from you, you could ask someone who's a solicitor or someone who's involved in these things, and he will tell you what you should claim, for example, what it should be done.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. We have about a minute left, inshallah.
Yeah.
Until our break. So we'll try and go through one WhatsApp question quickly, inshallah, to cover the minutes until we come back, and we'll continue going through our calls. Our first WhatsApp question for today is, Assalamu alaikum, I have two questions. We'll ask the first one. What is the duty upon Muslim married women to their parents? If we can make it short, Sheikh, we have a few seconds.
That's the lecture. But anyway, your duty just before marriage, it's the same duty. It's the same duty. You have to be good to them. You have to visit them. You have to treat them in a good way. You have to look after them. That's a duty of every Muslim man and woman towards his parents, whether he's married or she's married or not. It's the same duty. Maybe that doesn't mean if you are married. That doesn't mean yes, you have more responsibility towards your husband, towards your new family, but that doesn't mean you should leave your responsibility towards your parents.
Maybe we can go into it more after the break. For our viewers, stay tuned after a break. We'll be back in a few minutes to continue taking your calls and questions, inshallah. Sorry, Sheikh. That was my fault. I should...
This Ramadan, Eman Channel invites you to an evening of remembrance. Join Europe's largest iftar gathering on the 4th of June at the EXO London.
So our question from the first part of our show from Brother Abdul Wahid, he asked regarding in this life we should aim to gain Jannah, and we should work to gain Jannah. And he asked, is there any way we can know that our acts of worship are being accepted or that we've attained Jannah?
Yeah, jazakallah. This is a very beautiful question. From Allah's mercy, that Allah has hid the consequence of our efforts.
Okay.
Because here, if you know yourself, you are a person of Jannah, you say, Alhamdulillah, I entered Jannah, I don't need to do more. Yeah. So it's from His mercy that He hid that from us. So we don't know. So that's why even the Sahaba of the Prophet, Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, he was dying. And you could imagine Umar al-Khattab, the Prophet, he is promised to Jannah. The Prophet, he promised him Jannah. Yeah. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said good things about him. And he said, if you went on a path, the shaitan will go in another path. And he said, and he's al-Faruq, يفرق بين الحق والباطل, which means he distinguished between the true and the false. Radiallahu anhu. And yet he was doubting his status in Jannah. Yet, not because he's doubting the Prophet ﷺ promise, but he's doubting his efforts. He was saying, if I know there is one single place in the hellfire, I will doubt that it's my place. So that means Allah has hid this even from the Sahaba of the Prophet ﷺ, even though they are promised to Jannah, but yet they always doubting their efforts rather than doubt the promises of Allah. Allah has promised the believers that Allah will grant for them Jannah. We ask Allah to be amongst them.
Ameen.
But in the same time, we should work hard as Muslims to be better people in the future, to do much as much as we could, because we don't know what's happening. We don't know that maybe Allah will accept from us or not. So that's why it is better for us to continue doing the good deeds. And there are some signs that Allah, for example, that the Prophet ﷺ, he said in a hadith, إن الله إذا أحب عبدا ابتلاه, that Allah, if Allah loves someone, Allah will put him in a test. So, and that's why he said that the most ones who are tested are the prophets of Allah, and then the one who is similar in terms of piety, which means the scholars and the one who are very pious people, the salihin. So and that's why the bala, or the test of the person, is according to his belief and according to his closeness to Allah Azza wa Jal. So that's why don't think that if you are tested in this life that you think that you are, Allah Azza wa Jal is angry about you. No, it could be the other way around.
Yeah.
So you should be patient, you should live your life, and you should continue doing the good deeds and always do more. If you want, for example, if you pray the night prayer, do more. If you pray, for example, two nights a week, do more. Try to do as much as you can from the good deeds, because you don't know, maybe you will do something which is good and Allah will love it and Allah will guarantee for you Jannah. Just like the one who is a prostitute who just only give water from Bani Israel, from the people of the book, that she just only fed or give her water to a dog, that Allah is pleased with her deed, and Allah guarantee for her Jannah. Just only one single good deed. So you don't know which deeds that you do that Allah will love from you. So always do your best and make dua that Allah to accept from you.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. May Allah reward you. You mentioned the point, Sheikh, about the Prophet that if Allah tests those He loves. You said correct?
Yeah, true.
And the Prophets are the ones that get tested most.
Yeah, the Prophets of Allah are the most who are tested.
SubhanAllah. And I just wanted to make the point, Sheikh, that even though SubhanAllah, now we know that the Prophets, may Allah be pleased with them all, and the Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that they were tested very much from the hadith of the Prophet Alaihi Wasallam. But still in their lives we can see that they were very active and very successful people.
True.
Even though now we know they were tested very much as well.
They were tested very much, and yet that doesn't mean that these tests prevent them from continuing. The Prophet ﷺ, for example, he went to Ta'if and he was stoned by the people, by the children, by the people there, and he came back and his feet ﷺ bled, and he went back and yet when he went back he directly spoke to the people who came to do the pilgrimage from people of Medina. Allah opened for him a way there. So you don't know, even he was tested there, and people, they were humiliating him, people are trying to harm him alayhi salatu wasalam, and yet that doesn't mean prevent him from doing the good deeds. He continued alayhi salatu wasalam. And even subhanallah, Allah Azza wa Jal, he was tested even when he was dealing with the people. So subhanallah, One day he was talking for example, to the leaders of Quraysh, and yet when he was dealing with them, then they made him to get angry, alayhi salatu wasalam. As soon as they left, Ibn Maktoum came to him, the blind man, and Allah Azza wa Jal, till now we recite every time Allah Azza wa Jal blaming the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when his face features changed. And Allah Azza wa Jal is saying this, Abasa wa Tawalla, till now we recite it. Why is that? Because even he's a human being, alayhi salatu wasalam, and yet he was tested with those people, and Allah Azza wa Jal want him to always concentrate on doing and continuing the good deed. Yeah, and that's similar to us as well. Even if you are tested in the life, even if you, for example, you lost your job, you lost your whatever, your study or whatever, that doesn't mean this is the end of the life. Allah Azza will open for you ways, but always do not stop by it. Subhanallah, today, wallahi, there is a case today that someone approached me and he said, I feel that I'm punished. My life is like, I feel that my life is done. I said to him, Subhanallah, brother, you could stand, you could talk to me, you are able to hear, you are able to see. So remember as Allah's favor on you. Before you think just only one single thing that happens to you, remember that you have a lot of things that Allah has gave you before. So you should be pleased with what Allah has given you, and you should just only concentrate on doing the good deeds. That's how is it. Yeah.
And this came up before, Sheikh, in one of the shows before, that these things, what matters most is, in the end, we discussed it with Sheikh Wasim Kemson when he was here before, is your opinion of Allah. Yeah. Like you said, now you should, the hadith is Allah is as you think of it.
Yeah, as you think of it. And there is a great hadith, wallahi, that hadith, if someone thinks about it, that in the day of judgment, Allah Azza wa Jal will judge on someone to be thrown in the hellfire. Then that individual will look to Allah Azza wa Jal. Then Allah will say to him, what did you expect from me? What did you think about me? He's not talking what did you think about me now in the day of judgment. What did you think about Allah Azza wa Jal while you were in the life? Then he said, Anta rahamani, that you're going to be merciful on me. Then Allah will say to him, wa rahmati wasi'at kulla shay, and my mercy will be bestowed upon everyone. And Allah Azza wa Jal has given him Jannah because he has good expectation from Allah Azza wa Jal. So that's why we should expect good things from Allah Azza wa Jal. And that's why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said in a hadith, Ana 'inda dhanni 'abdi bi. Yeah, which means I am according to what you think about me, about Allah Azza wa Jal. So we should think always good about Allah Azza wa Jal. We should always consider that Allah Azza wa Jal is going to give us something which is good, which benefits us in this life and in the hereafter.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh, for the reminder. It was very beneficial. May Allah reward you. I'll just take that chance before we continue with our questions to remind our viewers that we're live. Ask Eman, this is a live show. If it's your first time watching, this is Ask Eman. For our regular viewers, you know what it's all about. We're here every day from Monday to Friday from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock to give you the chance to have access to an individual of knowledge. Today joining us is our special Sheikh, Sheikh Muhammed At-Tarawni, for the first time on Ask Eman, to answer your questions authentically according to the Quran and Sunnah. So be sure to get in contact if you have any questions. The number to reach us on is 0203 637 6857. We also have a WhatsApp service where you can send your questions to, and that's 074 2239 8833. So Sheikh, to continue with our calls, actually I've been told we have a caller, so before we continue we'll go off to our next caller of the show, inshallah. So assalamu alaikum, caller, welcome to the show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, my name is Sara.
Assalamu alaikum, Sara. And what's your question for us today?
The question is, people that want to buy a property with Islamic Bank of Britain, they have a so-called halal mortgage plan. I wanted to know if that's actually Islamic because it's signed by the Sharia committee.
Okay then. Thank you so much, sister. Do you have any more questions for us today?
No, that was it.
Okay, may Allah reward you. Be sure to call us back if you have any more questions in the future, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Sheikh, to continue with our questions, inshallah, our sister called from before and asked, she said her and her family have received food from, she said non-practicing individuals. So I don't know if she means non-Muslim or non-practicing, but maybe you can give us both the answers. She said is it permissible to take it and to eat it? And I think she's asked, is it halal?
Okay. Yeah,
what should someone do also, Sheikh? Sorry. Would it be rude to ask, is it halal when you receive it?
Allah Khair. Now, generally, that we have a few hadith about the Prophet ﷺ. One day, the Prophet ﷺ, it was brought to him a food from people that Aisha, she said to the Prophet ﷺ, he said, we don't know if they have remembered Allah when they slaughtered this meat. Then he said, alayhi salatu wasalam, to her, then you remember Allah and you eat. So from that, we know, and as well we have an ayat, the ayat in Surah Al-Ma'idah about that Allah has made lawful for us eating the food of the book, the people of the book. So those people of the book, for example, the Jew and the Christian, we are entitled to eat their food as long as it doesn't contradict, Islamic legislations. For example, like if it's alcohol, you cannot drink from them. If it's pork, then you cannot. But if something, for example, beef, or for example, or lamb, or something like that, and generally here in the country here, that's because I went to places that shows to me that they slaughter. Generally, they do slaughter. They have to slaughter, and according to the website, there is as well a website, government website, that it is that those slaughterhouse, they have to slaughter. They have to, for example, they have to bleed the animal and to take out the blood because that's something for hygienic. So from that, I follow the opinion that we are permissible to eat from, if you were gifted a food, so you are entitled to eat it. But for example, if you doubt that those people, they might mix it with pork and all these things, there's no harm to ask. There's no harm to ask. And as well, if you follow the other opinion, for example, you prefer just only to eat only halal or kosher, for example, here, then in that case, you are entitled to do that. This is the other side of it, which is many scholars or many people in this country, they follow that. Then in that case, if you follow that, you have to save your life. If you believe that it is not halal, then in that case, it's better to ask, is it from halal or is it from halal shop, something like that, because you need to, as well, it is a way of da'wah to the other people, that we Muslims, we eat, way of da'wah. If they are Muslims, non-practicing ones, or if they are non-Muslims, to tell them that we Muslims, we eat halal food, and it's good even to educate them what's the health, what are the consequences of what, or the halal food is healthier than others, and as well it will give more, is more hygienic, is better for the body. So it's a way as well to da'wah to the other people. There is no harm to ask, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. So sometimes asking is a good thing. You may think you're asking just to get your answer, but it may open the door for this individual learning more about Islam.
True. For example, I know a sister, for example, she referred to Islam. She was just asking about the hijab. Someone, she saw the women that they're wearing hijab, and then she was saying, why do you wear it? Or, the woman, she was asking, why do you wear the hijab? Then sometimes action of Muslims, or sometimes, for example, saying some Muslims, it could be leading, for example, leading the other people, or to lead the other people to come to Islam or to be more practicing. So it's a way of da'wah. So you will say, we Muslims, we eat halal food. For example, you might, if they give you a gift as a food, as well, you do the other way around. You as well, you give them a gift. You tell them, by the way, this is halal food, and this is we bring it, we make it for you, and we are happy that you are our neighbor, or your relative, or something like that. And just deal with them in a good way, with good manners. So at least the other side, they will appreciate that you do as well. You do appreciate the others.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. May Allah reward you. Our next question from the sister who asked regarding the food, she asked, if you're having difficulty waking up for Fajr because you suffer from depression, what advice can you give her?
Wallahi, the best advice for waking up for Fajr, first of all, to make dua to Allah Azza, first of all. That's the first thing. The second thing, that there is a way I advise everyone who have problems in waking up for Fajr, that I advise every single person, and alhamdulillah, it happens to them. Before you sleep, just pray 2 rak'ah. Just before you go to sleep. Yes, it might be hard and all these things, go and pray 2 rak'ah. If you suffer from if something continues, and that is always happening. Sometimes people, they are normal, they wake up for Fajr, but they sometimes, for example, they are tired, they are ill or something like that, they don't wake up. But if it's something which is happening for long term, then in that case, I will say to them, no, just practice this before you sleep. Pray 2 rak'ah and ask Allah in the 2 rak'ah that you wake up for Fajr. And Allah will help you to wake up. Put the alarm, make sure, for example, if you are husband and wife, if someone, for example, put the alarm, maybe someone will wake up the other. So try to cooperate with that, both of you. Or, for example, you have a neighbor or someone who's a friend of you, for example, that you know that she wake up for Fajr. Let her call you in Fajr time. It's the time to pray. This is what we call it. This is from the ta'awun al-birr wa taqwa. This is from to cooperate with birr, with goodness and piety. So this is a way as well to wake up for Fajr. So you have to have a good brothers, or if they are brothers, for example, to have someone who will remind you about Allah, will remind you about your prayer. Even if you face suffering from depression, may Allah cure you, and as well the dua and the ruqya, inshallah ta'ala. Allah will help you. The ruqya on yourself, you don't need to go to someone, but only you do ruqya, recite Quran on yourself, Fatiha, Ayat al-Kursi, the Mu'awwidhat, and Qul Wallahu Ahad. Inshallah, it will be very helpful for you, bi'idhnillah ta'ala.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Just on the topic of ruqya quickly, in our community today, we seem to emphasize a lot on ruqya only when it comes to sihr or possession, black magic possession or ayn. Is ruqya something that can be used for any type of healing? Or is it specific to these? Because we hear about it all the time just when it comes to these three things usually.
No, actually, ruqya, it's applied to any type of healing. Because we found the hadith that there is the Sahaba, they were traveling, and then there was someone he was bited by a scorpion, and then that person he did ruqya on him. He did ruqya with Fatiha. With only Fatiha, and Allah has cured that individual. So the ruqya for general one for any type of disease generally, but that doesn't mean you leave the medicine. For example, someone who's on medication. For example, I got like a cases of someone who has a diabetes, and then he will say, okay, I will do ruqya myself. So you don't risk these things. And as well, you do ruqya, and as well you do the medicine, because the Prophet ﷺ, he encouraged us to seek medicine as well. And it's part of ruqya as well. It's part of relying on reasons as well, relying on Allah as well, by taking the reasons.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. So our next question was from our sister from Sheffield. She explained when she's visiting her family in London, when she's traveling from Sheffield to London, she'd like clarification on how she can. She's heard something about being able to join her prayer, or something along these lines. Whether it's Dhuhr and Asr, could you clarify, please?
Now, if you travel from a place to another place, which is considered that it's a travel, it's a safar, it's a travel according to the habit of the people, then in that case, even let alone the distance, the matter is, or the matter is what the people consider. If they consider it amount or a city of traveling. For example, people from London going to Sheffield or vice versa, they are considered to be travel. So when you come to London, you are obliged to shorten your prayer. And this is the correct opinion, which is you have to shorten your prayer. Now, joining the prayer, the majority of scholars they said, is as well when you shorten the prayer as well, you need to join them. Some of the scholars they said joining is not obligation. It is something which is sunnah if you want to do it, but if you don't do it, that doesn't mean there's no harm. So I will say to her, I advise her, when you come to London, then you could shorten your prayer, and as well you join your prayer. You shorten the Dhuhr and Asr to pray 2 and 2, 2 Dhuhr, 2 for Asr, and you join them. Easy for this is the son of the Prophet. He was joining the Dhuhr and Asr at the time of Dhuhr, and he was delaying the Maghrib with Isha. So he was praying Maghrib with Isha at the time of Isha. The Maghrib you don't need to shorten it because it's 3 rak'ah, but the Isha you shorten it would be 2 rak'ah, and then inshallah ta'ala you do the witr. And as well you could do, that doesn't mean you are restricted in the Dhuhr time. You could join at either time. For example, you could join at the Dhuhr time or you could join at the Asr time, both prayer. But you have to shorten the Salah. So it's a must to shorten the Salah when you are a traveler. And this is it has to be up to 4 days, which means the plan from the beginning has to be 4 days. If you plan to stay more than 4 days in London, for example, you came here to stay 10 days in London, then in that case, as soon as you get London, you just carry on, you just do your normal prayer. But if the time when you are in London, you know you plan to stay 3 days or 4 days maximum at max and leave, or with 4 nights, 4 days and 4 nights, then in that case you don't need, you shorten the prayer and you join the prayer while in this time, according to the action of the Prophet ﷺ when he shortened his prayer.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. May Allah reward you. I'll just remind our viewers at home that we have around 5 minutes left of the show, so if you'd like to get in contact, inshallah, be sure to pick up the phone. And with that, Sheikh, we'll continue with our questions from today. So, Jazakallah khair for that answer. After that, we had Brother Azhar who called and asked regarding giving zakat to a wife of a Sayyid, if you're able to do this.
Yeah, I mean, the zakah, you could give it to anyone, any Muslim who are in need, generally. Now, a wife of a Sayyid, which means her husband passed away, I assume this, I think, so
okay,
I think this is what he meant.
Yeah.
If in that case, because generally if there are people from the lineage of the Prophet ﷺ and something which is recorded, they have a record that they are from the lineage of the Prophet ﷺ through Al-Hasan or Al-Husayn radiyallahu anhuma, this is the most preserved families, then in that case the person, those ones that are not given as a zakah, they will be given as a gift rather than to be a zakah. But now, if it's a wife, she's not. If her husband is alive, that's the responsibility of the husband. If the husband is not alive, then in that case, she will be one of the Muslims, which she needs.
Okay.
Yeah, which she needs, and that's why the people, you are entitled to give any Muslim, the amount of zakah.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. We'll take our last caller of the show, inshallah, because we only have a few minutes. So, assalamu alaikum to our next caller of the show. Welcome to the show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, sister.
My name is Su'ad. I'm calling from Sheffield.
Welcome back, Sister Su'ad. And what's your question for us today?
Jazakallah khair. My question is about ruqyah.
Okay.
And what it is I went for a ruqyah to this sheikh.
Yeah.
And the sheikh was like, I heard that they're not supposed to touch you while they're doing performing ruqyah on you.
Okay.
But this sheikh was very, very touching, and he was manhandling the female.
Yep.
And he grabbed the lady and made a hole in her finger with a needle. Is this permissible?
Okay then, Sister Su'ad. Thank you so much for calling us today. May Allah reward you wa iyak. Sheikh, that brings us to the conclusion of our show. Inshallah, the rest of our questions from Brother Azhar, Sara and Sister Su'ad just now, we'll address them on Monday's show, inshallah. That's going to be starting at 7 o'clock, so be sure to tune in for the answers. Sheikh, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us today. Sheikh Muhammed, it was a pleasure having you with us. May Allah reward you. And we look forward to having you, inshallah, soon again on the show. For our viewers at home, thanks for everyone who's watched today and everyone who's brought their questions forward. We'll be back at 7 o'clock on Monday, inshallah. So for now and until then, Jazakumullah khair for tuning in and have a great weekend, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, my beloved Deelish fans. Yes, this is a momentous point in the competition, so make sure you tune in to this week's Deelish because it's the quarterfinals. We've had some amazing cooking and the heats are just going to get better.